I need more than one correction today. A strategic. This is the first time at the podium for a week. I'm apparently a little rusty.
So he's trying to say the war's been a strategic failure for Russia, and twice says it's been a strategic failure for Ukraine. They can't get the basic facts straight.
And here's the issue. I think it's been an abject failure on many levels, particularly when you talk about the U.S. involvement. And I say that specific to the amount of money that we have invested in this war.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a lot of Americans who don't believe that that money is being reciprocated or that money is well spent because the war is still continuing. There's still claims of war crimes, if you will, on the part of Russia, and the situation doesn't seem to have gone anywhere. It seems like it's somewhat of a stalemate.
Yeah, now we've got cluster bombs and all this other stuff.
Cluster munitions.
Munitions.
That's what they try to tell us.
That's
You're right. They are cluster bombs.
Yeah.
And a year ago, Psaki was circling back and saying it'd be a war crime to use them. And now we're running out of ammunition, which tells you about our military readiness. We'll talk about that with Tony Shaffer in a few moments. And we're rushing cluster bombs, which we said we couldn't do a year ago, over to Ukraine. It's a complete mess. Let's talk about what I mentioned a moment ago. So Biden goes out there with King Charles. And people are now putting together a comparison, as we always do. Donald Trump with Queen Elizabeth and how dominant he was on the world stage and represented America well. And Joe Biden stumbling around with King Charles. Watch. It's funny because King Charles is like his minder behind him, whereas Donald Trump is walking beside Queen Elizabeth,
Right, but I actually thought that they dressed Joe Biden's aide up in a uniform, and that was who was helping them along.
Oh, no,
I thought it was like a nurse's aide in a uniform.
It was like Jill. Jill does that in the
US. For the
US.
occasion, right? Maybe it was Jill or the Easter Bunny.
The Easter Bunny helps too, Terrance.
Yeah, I think the job has really taken a toll on Joe Biden. And I just looked, just to kind of compare ages, because I was curious how old King Charles III is. He's 74, obviously Joe Biden 80. So that's a 6-year difference, but it seems like a lifetime of difference in terms of just their gait and their acumen, their physical and emotional as well as mental acumen. Seems like a lifetime separation too.
Yeah, only 6 years. Incredible. So it got worse because then Biden sort of wandered off, and King Charles literally had to sort of drag him back to where they were supposed to stand. Watch. I mean, come on, man.
King Charles seems like a very nice man, right? In that moment.
Just trying to help him.
Yeah, trying to help him.
You say, come on, man, and I suspect that was somewhat of the conversation. Come on, man. Hey, man, come on. Let's go this way. Come on, man. It is sad to watch, and it's already sad to have to watch it here in the United States. But again, as you said earlier in the lead-in, to watch that sort of presentation on the world stage, it probably doesn't engender a lot of confidence with our allies.
Yeah. 100%.
I think you're very intuitive, Terrance. I think maybe he hears that a lot. Come on, man, and that's why he keeps saying it.
Right. They're dragging him around. We've had Royce White on the show, great young man, and he's playing in that Big Three, which is like, it's not the NBA, but you get 3 players and you get they have wacky rules and stuff, and Charles Oakley and other former NBA people have been involved. And I think if you put Royce White together with Kari Lake, it's pretty money, okay? So Kari Lake posted this. Royce White knows what's going on. Trump won. Everyone knows it. Hashtag 81 million votes my ass. And you see on his head there, he wrote out Trump won.
Amazing.
And he was all over television because these games are televised, as you know, Terrance.
Right.
And it's basically Allen Iverson, I think, was involved in it because he was number 3 when he was in the NBA,
Right.
and he helped start this league. And I just think Royce White going out there and just saying it was pretty bold.
That's very bold.
And what's interesting, Ice Cube, the rapper and the actor, was one of the.
Look at you.
Well, you know, I know things. I don't know why I know, but I know things. He's one of the key people behind this league. And what I find interesting, you may remember, he faced some significant backlash back around 2016 in the lead up to the first, to President Trump's first presidential win, because he met with President Trump. And you may remember there were so many people who were outraged because he met with him. He was pushing this, I think he called it Contract for America or Contract for Black of America, something like that. And he met with President Trump and anyone else who was willing to meet to try to gain votes or to try to gain support for that contract. And so Ice Cube, one of the people behind this league that now Royce White is playing in this summer. So it goes to show that there are Trump supporters out there, and there are people who are at least willing to hear from the former president.
We saw Kodak Black yesterday. He wants Trump to be president forever.
Yeah, forever. Well, I don't know about the forever part.
All right.
Then it becomes
You sure?
a dictatorship. I think that's a bad idea. But
Well,
I agree with everything else.
Pretty much everything else. Why is CNN so opposed to this Sound of Freedom movie? Colin Rugg had this. They keep, it's funny. So it's a movie exposing the reality of child sex trafficking, and they keep calling it a QAnon film. And you got to wonder what side these folks are on when they keep bashing this film over and over. Let's play part of this clip and watch this segment at CNN.
And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon. But
Karyn. They're QAnon. They're trying to save kids. They're just looking to insult them and tear this film down. It's nuts.
And Jim Caviezel played Jesus. I'm thinking about this. And I'm
At a
like,
loss for words.
How is this even possible?
You know what? Go see the movie for yourself, folks. Like,
Right.
don't listen to us. Don't listen to mainstream media. Go see it for yourself and make a determination about what the movie is really about,
people are
about
doing
the
it.
actual motivation for the movie. People are absolutely doing it. Go see it for yourself.
Have you seen these films? We should talk about this tomorrow. Over the weekend, a lot of people are posting videos that two things are happening, that they're watching Sound of Freedom and the AC keeps breaking in the movie theaters. And it's the summer and it's hot for people, obviously. And the AC is only breaking, it might be in a multiplex with 12 screens, and the only AC that's broken is the one with Sound of Freedom because they don't want people to see the thing. And then I see videos where people are calling like 911 and saying there's a bomb or there's an emergency.
Oh, wow.
And they're breaking up people watching.
Wow.
This is really happening online.
Wow.
Because
In America.
In America. Because there's a concerted effort to stop people from seeing the truth. And real American voices are going to see the truth. Let's go down the rabbit hole with Karyn. All right, Karyn, I read this and I immediately thought of you. 2 Harvard scientists recovered 50 unusual iron spears off the coast of Papua New Guinea. They are believed to be the remnants of an interstellar visitor that crashed into the Pacific Ocean in 2014. New lab analysis of these metal spheres reveals they are anomalous and stronger than any observed meteor produced by nature and must have come from outer space. The Harvard pair argue this supports the likelihood that IM-1, which I guess was the vehicle, was artificial in origin and have refused to rule out that it was part of a, quote, interstellar spacecraft made by aliens. What do you know about this?
This is really incredible. I think one of the most incredible things is one of these metallic spheres that they found, when they looked at it under a microscope, it's in a miniature Earth. is how they're describing it.
Really?
This is
And it
really
must be part of
wild.
that.
And we saw one of these meteors come through that they knew wasn't in our solar system that was moving that Oumuamua. This is sort of similar where it was something that crashed and they know for sure that it came from another solar system. If it was a meteor with these things attached to it or a spacecraft remains to be seen, or maybe a spacecraft that we kind of identify because they make them out of rocks.
What was this? Moa?
This was this big meteor that traveled through space about a year ago.
Wow.
What's it called?
Oumuamua.
Can you say that one more
I think
time?
I'm getting it right. It's like a Hawaiian name. I might not be getting it right. The chat will correct me if I'm not right. You know,
All right,
they
I'm going to
always
watch
do.
the chat on that. Terrance, last word.
I've got no words. I've got no words. It's
I
interesting.
know. What about this?
The miniature Earth got me. The miniature Earth got me. That was the one that I was like, wow, because they're completely distinctive. They said when they put them under the microscope, they're unique, and the one looks like a miniature Earth.
Incredible. All right, why don't we
A
get to,
message, perhaps.
why don't we get to Jesus Calling?
Let's do it.
That's beautiful.
We should do that. Jesus Calling. Worship me only. Idols have always been the downfall of my people. I make no secrets about being a jealous God. Current idols are more subtle than ancient ones because today's false gods are often outside of the field of our faith. And this comes from Samuel 22 through 29. You are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord turns my darkness into light.
Love it. SEAL Team 711, which is a funny name in the chat, believes that those were Christmas ornaments, and they're not buying your story. They looked a little bit like Christmas ornaments, and maybe they're not from aliens.
I don't know. Well, the scientists might discover something. You got to wait.
We'll keep digging down that rabbit hole, and we'll keep watching the chat as well. A lot of people in there already. Terrance, I know you have some headlines, sir.
Yeah, we want to start with President Trump, who is asking that the Florida federal trial against him for the documents seized at Mar-a-Lago be postponed. In Monday's court filing, President Trump's lawyers argue that even the December 11th trial date the prosecutors are asking for is unreasonable and would deny them the appropriate amount of time to prepare. District Judge Aileen Cannon currently has that trial set to start next month, though, which would be on August 14th. The Trump legal team is asking the court to postpone any consideration of a new trial date because even a December trial date would be untenable in view of the logistical demands on Mr. Trump's presidential election bid and the potentially large amount of evidence that lawyers will likely have to sift through. Plus, the legal team is also trying to balance other legal cases the president may be facing. Happening today, Iowa is looking to become the latest state to enact a 6-week ban on abortions. The Hawkeye State's Republican-controlled state legislature will open a rare special session today in an effort to pass stricter abortion laws. Right now, the procedures are legal in Iowa up to 20 weeks of pregnancy, but lawmakers are seeking to prohibit abortions once cardiac activity is detected, which would be around 6 weeks. Dozens of states have tightened abortion bans since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade last year. Many of the restrictions are on hold, though, pending court rulings. And the capital of Vermont is underwater following torrential downpours that unleashed flash flooding across the Northeast Sunday and Monday. One woman in New York was killed when rushing water swept her away. At least 50 people across the region had to be rescued by emergency crews. The Northeast, particularly the New England states, are hoping to begin drying out today after more than 13 million people were under flood watches and warnings from eastern New York State up into western Maine on Monday. Roads and bridges washed away and homes were waterlogged and mud-filled. The economic loss is estimated at between $3 and $5 million. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'll have more headlines coming your way here in just a little bit, but now let's get you back to Ed and Karyn.
Terrance, appreciate it. I don't know if you saw this. New York Post has this old yeller. And what they're talking about is, I think Axios started this. All these Biden people leaked that in private, Biden is really gruff and has a temper. And if you don't have certain answers for him, he yells at you. So that's what they're saying, old yeller. And so many people read this story and are just like, we're not buying it. It's one of two things. It's either BS spin because he's out of it and they want to pretend, oh, he's mad. They come in and they don't have the right jobs numbers. This guy's mad. He's so tough, Karyn. He wants to get reelected. He's passionate. Or he's got dementia or something,
right.
and when
get
people have
mad.
that, they start
Who
yelling
does he like?
randomly.
Let's look at what he likes. Let's find what he likes, and let's have somebody take care of him and get him out of the White House. How about
Age
that?
can make you irritable. Advanced age in particular.
We're trying to have a conversation. Karyn says, let's get him out. Let's just do that. I like it. It's good. You're direct. 81 billion votes by ass on the way out. We're going to have 2 brand new songs later this week. Stand by for that. Quick break. We're back with Trump Was Right.
You failed, build back better. the middle class.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you have the woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
Hit me! I feel bad for you, bro. There's Loza Alexander, 46 Problems. That song is also doing well on iTunes. Man, go to Apple, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you download and stream your music. Now, it's interesting because we tease Karyn sometimes when she just gets to the heart of it and goes blunt and says, get Biden out. Because it tees up the next soundbite perfectly. I'm not even sure you connected the dots. You didn't even know it was coming. You were so far ahead of the curve. There you go. So Fareed Zakaria is on CNN. So this clip starts, the real point of the clip is how much he kisses Biden's butt. Because the interview was given because he's about to go right before, the interview was right before he went to NATO, where he is now in Europe. And so Zakaria does all this foreign policy. He's like, you're so loved around the world. The whole world loves you and thinks you've done so much. When you could LOL this. Mm-hmm. Like, no, the world thinks you're a moron. But at the end of it, it's like a buttering Biden up to say, but now maybe you should leave. Which is what you just said a minute ago. Can we get him out?
We just get him
so
out?
Even the left is saying, you've done, so that's their pitch now. You've accomplished so much. You're such an amazing president. Maybe now you should get off the stage. It's the way, and this might be what they do to get,
Quit while you're ahead?
Yeah, because you're so good.
So good.
Fareed Zakaria, watch.
You've often said when people ask you about your age, just watch me. And I think a lot of people do watch you and are impressed, and they think you've been a great president. You've brought the economy back. You've restored relations with the world. But many of these people do say, and these are ardent supporters of yours, the next thing he should do is step aside and let another generation of Democrats take the baton. Why are they wrong?
Well, let me, not right or wrong. Look, to use the phrase again, I think we're at an inflection point. I think the world is changing, and I think there is one thing that comes with age if you've been honest about it your whole life, and that is some wisdom.
I'm going to let you.
Put down Hunter's crack pipe right now.
81 million votes by us. What a great answer. I saw you smiling. And that's right.
How could you ask? I mean,
but who should put down the crack pipe? Fareed?
Fareed.
But what about Biden? Both of them.
I mean, Biden's too far gone. I don't think it's crack with Biden. I think with Fareed, the jury's out.
You're so loved around the world. You've accomplished so much. You brought the economy back. Really? I don't feel it.
What is going on?
Let's turn to the headlines, and they're sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Terrance, you're so good at the headlines. You're loved all around this great country. It's probably time for you to step down.
Thanks, Fareed. I mean, I'm sorry. I
mean, what was that? Because Karyn, I thought Karyn, she was laughing during the whole clip. So she's like, I got something to say. So I thought she was going to have like a 30-second, and then she had like this one snappy line, which is
That's
funny.
all I could think in my head.
Well, what do you think?
Was it me, like early on in the clip, as the question was initially being posed, I yelled out, "Wake up!" I felt like Joe Biden was asleep.
Yeah, he was like,
almost looked.
He was.
Like he was asleep.
He was like this. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Wow. I agree. Wisdom comes with age, but just because you're wise doesn't necessarily mean that you can react to certain stimuli. And it seems like the reaction to stimuli for President Biden is a little delayed these days.
It's like word of the day, stimuli. Just dropping that in there. Look at you.
A couple of big words this morning. I noticed he was doing some vocabulary puzzle or something last night.
I was doing vocabulary.
It's been good.
Yeah,
a couple of real good words
I got
this morning.
a good night's sleep. That's what it was. I got a good night's sleep. All right, guys, let me get to this morning's headlines here. Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs is pushing back against the Department of Justice and calling for it to be defunded and dismantled. Taking to Twitter, Biggs writing, "The Biden DOJ continues to retaliate against those who expose the Biden family crime network. This is not what justice looks like. Defund and dismantle." So here's the backstory. Representative Biggs and other lawmakers are angry about the DOJ charging whistleblower Dr. Gal Luft after Luft approached the DOJ and FBI with information about President Biden and his son Hunter allegedly taking payments from companies associated with the Chinese Communist Party.
He's literally fleeing for his life right now. He's on the run. He's an important witness. He needs to be granted immunity to be able to testify and tell his story.
So that call for immunity comes as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York is throwing the book at Luft, accusing him of acting as a foreign agent, trafficking in arms, violating U.S. sanctions against Iran, and making false statements to federal agents. The press release for the U.S. Attorney, Damian Williams, says that Dr. Luft is a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen who allegedly evaded FARA registration while also working to advance the interests of China in the United States. He's also accused of trying to broker a deal to sell Chinese-made weapons while also trying to sell China Iranian oil. Dr. Luft was arrested in Cyprus back in February, but he was released on bail and has been on the run ever since. Last week, Luft reappeared briefly to offer up new evidence against President Biden and the first son. Meantime, the Delaware federal prosecutor handling the Hunter Biden case says that he and the Justice Department never impeded his investigation or influenced the charges that he's bringing against Hunter Biden. U.S. Attorney David Weiss reportedly made that claim in a letter to Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham on Monday. The assertion appears to debunk claims by whistleblowers who say the DOJ stonewalled the investigation into Hunter Biden. In his letter to Senator Graham, Weiss says that he never sought special counsel status from Attorney General Merrick Garland, which would have allowed him to bring federal charges in any district across the country. He goes on to write, and I'm quoting here, "Rather, I had discussions with departmental officials regarding potential appointment, which would have allowed me to file charges in a district outside my own without the partnership of local U.S. attorney. I was assured that I would be granted this authority if it proved necessary." Weiss remains under fire, though, for the sweetheart plea deal that he's offering first son Hunter Biden. That deal involves 2 misdemeanor tax charges and pretrial diversion for a felony count of possessing a firearm while using illegal drugs. The latter is the more serious of the charges, and legal experts say that pretrial diversion is almost never offered for that sort of federal crime. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan is probably licking his chops this morning as he and his committee will face off with FBI Director Christopher Wray tomorrow. Wray is set to testify before the Republican-controlled committee, and everything is reportedly on the table for the discussion. However, the press release for tomorrow's hearing says the session will examine the politicization of the nation's preeminent law enforcement agency under the direction of FBI Director Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland. Congressman Jordan and his fellow committee members have had Director Wray in their crosshairs over various issues, from the handling of the Hunter Biden investigation to bogus investigations into President Trump and his now debunked links to Russian collusion. Tomorrow's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee comes amid calls for impeachment proceedings to be initiated against Director Wray. That's a quick check of your headlines brought to you by AMAC. I'll, of course, have more headlines coming your way here in just a little bit. Ed and Karyn?
We got chats. There's all sorts of stuff in the chat. A lot of people saying good morning. Sean Lucas is in there. Little Sunflower Girl's in there.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, Little Sunflower, that's my homegirl. We have a good relationship.
Oh, there you go.
That's my buddy. Hey.
I love that. There's the chat right there. And I think they're going to be excited about a little segment we like to call It's been a couple days since we got to this, because sometimes we run out of time at the top because we have so much fun and other stuff. And guess what? You know, they found cocaine at the White House. Trump was right about Democrat cities like New York. Now you got cocaine on the L train. That's right. Someone posted this video. Okay, guy sitting across from me just took a baggie of cocaine. Look at this, Karyn. This is happening probably in the middle of the day. It was in his socks, she says. He stuck a teal straw in it and started using it. There's children on the subway. Person's just doing cocaine, guys, openly on the L train.
It's incredible.
Oh, and she said, happy Sunday. I didn't even realize. Happy Sunday indeed.
And this is happening everywhere. I mean, it's not just New York. I can tell you that here in South Florida, there are some Democrat areas. I drove through one recently, and there was a man smoking what I would think was crack in the middle of the road.
Oh, really?
Yes. So this is happening everywhere. It's not just New York.
Right
I mean, it's
in the
incredible.
nose. Look, I don't want to be, overly, but I mean, Terrance, this is just out in the open. And I used to ride the New York City subway, and there's kids. Now it's the summertime, but they take that subway to school rest of the year. They take the subway up to the Yankees game or the Mets game or camp.
Yep.
With their parents, without their parents.
It's an economical way to travel. A lot of people on a budget.
It's just happening right out in the open.
And I think the broader point is drugs are illegal. And so to see someone breaking the law, no matter what law it is, so openly and without even a second thought. It doesn't even look like there was a second thought or a concern. He just kind of out in the open was doing it, which is the greater concern. And I think there's obviously a problem. And so hopefully that gentleman gets help.
It gets help, exactly. Where's the empathy from the Democrats? Where's the understanding that these people are ill and that they need help? There's nothing.
So that was, right there in New York City. Queens, a couple days ago, there's a guy in a scooter who's got a gun. And you saw this, shot 3 people. And one of them was an 87-year-old man, that man right there. And we're going to show you the video. Now, we have to blur it because this 87-year-old man, Karyn, is just walking here on the street. Did you see this?
I don't want to look at it
And the scooter comes in on the right of your screen, and we're going to blur it. But he just gets gunned down. And it's just, we won't even show. But the man was just taking a walk, Terrance, in New York City, in Queens, where I was born. And you see, he stumbles around for a while and just drops down. He died, 87 years old. Man's healthy, he's walking. It's insane. And there's no police, there's nothing.
And this was a shooting spree. It happened across Queens and Brooklyn. So this guy on the scooter shot several people during this day-long spree. Apparently Saturday, I think, is when it happened. He was arrested Sunday. And he actually made his first court appearance yesterday and is expected back in court on Thursday. But it's so shocking. You hear of drive-bys. But a drive-by on a scooter, and in this case, you can't say he necessarily targeted anyone. Police believe that the shootings were just indiscriminate, but it still doesn't change the fact that it is so shocking that an 86-year-old person, 87, is a victim here, that any person would be victimized.
100%. There could have been children right next to him. He could have had a grandchild. Who knows who could have been.
The guy is obviously, again, mental illness. Bring it up again. The shooter is mentally ill. He needs 100%. To be somewhere where he's getting treatment and is locked up and can't injure other people. And that should have been done before he was able to shoot these people.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. All right, on the way out, we're going to talk about Witch Hunt there from our friend Forgiato Blow, who will be here Thursday with a new song, by the way. So we're still cranking out the hits. But coming up, we're going to have one of our partners from the Wellness Company, Dr. Heather Gessling, who you've seen before. We're going to talk about spike support and other supplements right after this.
It's a two-tier justice system. Throw the book at Trump and Sleepy Joe gets nut. No, you took down the black.
Truth Bombers. Truth Bombers will have a new song later this week. Maybe about Hunter Biden, a little more on Hunter Biden, what they found over there at the White House. And you teed that up before by saying when you saw that interview between Joe Biden and Fareed Zakaria, somebody need to put down a crack pipe.
Put down the crack pipe right now.
There you go. All right, what you should do is put that down and pick up Spike Support among the many great supplements over at the Wellness Company. You like that?
Transition.
Yeah. twc.health/RAV. You'll be a lot healthier, and you'll start seizing back your medical freedom. And they're one of our great partners and sponsors. We want to bring in Dr. Heather Gessling. You've seen her before, one of the outstanding doctors there who's trying to restore your medical freedom at the Wellness Company. Doctor, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you. Glad to be back.
So it's good to have you. I want to get into the supplements, but I first want to ask you about movement on these papers, these research papers, I believe, that were taken down. You and other doctors were trying to explore these autopsy findings and see if there was a connection to the vaccines. And there's been others who have looked at this, obviously. And it appears that a lot of people in authority don't want you to be digging into this, I suppose, because maybe they won't like the answers. What's going on?
Yeah, well, that's not surprising. Well, the paper that was removed was a paper that was I co-authored. It was with Dr. Peter McCullough, Nicholas Holscher, several other physicians, and Dr. Harvey Risch, Dr. Richard Ammerling. And so the paper that was removed from the Lancet preprint server was a systematic review of other research papers that had been done that reviewed autopsy, necropsy findings of deaths that were likely related to the COVID vaccine. The review was confirmed that almost 75% of the deaths that had been previously studied were related to the COVID vaccine, a sort of post-vaccine syndrome that we call it. And the majority of the deaths were cardiovascular.
I would think that the data here is what's really valuable, all of the stuff that's missing, but it sounds like you still have some of the statistics of what were in these stolen data. It's incredible that could happen, especially with so much controversy around these vaccines. Is this going to push us any closer to them not pushing them anymore?
Yeah, so the data is there. It's up on Zenodo now if you want to look at the data. It includes all of the research papers that were analyzed, the 44 papers that were accepted in the study. And so the data being removed from the preprint server didn't keep us from being able to still get the data out. It did actually draw attention to the fact that there was this censorship going on, discussing the data related to autopsy and necropsy findings. And so the fact that there's cardiovascular deaths happening with regard to the vaccines is an even more important reason to take the spike protein presence seriously. We have to be able to neutralize and destroy that spike protein, which is one of the reasons why I have huge support for everybody to take spike support, because of the fact that we're all exposed, especially those that have had the vaccine, as these studies show.
Incredible. So walk us through using this supplement. I've been taking it for a couple months now. I feel great. Boosts the immune system. But talk about what you think people, if they go to the website and they use that promo code RAV right now, what they get with this supplement. How does it improve their health?
It's so important, the ingredients that are in there, it's so important to discuss. So the main ingredient that I feel like is the most beneficial is nattokinase. It's a proteolytic enzyme, which means it breaks down proteins, and it can break down the fibrin protein, which causes clots. It can break down the spike protein. We have 2 studies that have showed, preclinical studies that have showed that. And then also this really good ingredient that we love, dandelion root, which helps prevent spike from attaching to the ACE receptor. So we can destroy and prevent the attachment of that spike protein. Very, very important.
I just took mine while you were talking.
Yeah, there you go. I did as well.
Yeah, and we've heard so much about vaccine shedding, and even if you aren't vaccinated, I'm not vaccinated, I don't feel the same since this has been going on. Maybe it's age, maybe it's whatever. But since I've been taking this, I can tell you I take it normally either during the show or right before the show. And it gives me such a good little pick-me-up.
It's great. Talk about that, because people don't feel 100%.
Every time I get sick, I make sure that I'm taking that. Man, it just knocks it out so fast. I think it has to do with the fact that it has multiple other ingredients in it that are really good for cellular energy.
Interesting. Talk about you mentioned Dr. McCullough and working with him on that study. He also has the Healthy Heart and Muscle formula as well. What's different about that? And can you take a lot of these supplements in combination? How do people sort that out? Because you don't want to just suddenly take 3-4 different things without knowing all the impacts and whatnot. What does that add?
Yeah, we actually designed the formula so that they can be taken in conjunction with each other safely. The Healthy Heart formula is important for those who may be suffering things such as myocardial inflammation, myocarditis, after having exposure to the spike protein. And it has many nutrients in it that Dr. McCullough has been using for years to help heal the heart.
I have a viewer, I Love America 777, who says, what if we're not sure if we have spike protein in our unvaxxed blood? Can we still take this?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. There are many cardiovascular benefits of nattokinase. Dandelion root is helpful for many other things. The other components, selenium and Irish sea moss, absolutely beneficial for cellular energy. And also black cumin seed. That's one of the reasons why I think it helps so much when you get a cold, is because of that black cumin seed. But yeah, it's totally fine. I think that everybody can benefit from it. Those that have been exposed through various mechanisms, through illness, through shedding, through the vaccine.
Amazing. I love it. It makes me feel great, so I'm taking mine every day.
Let's end. Absolutely. Let's end maybe on Dr. Schmidt's sleep formula, which we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks. Is something that some of our viewers have been writing to us saying that they're trying it. As you age, in particular, it's something to deal with in terms of your sleep. What can this do for folks?
Oh man, this sleep formula, it's one of my favorite because we have had so many testimonials of how well it works. In fact, you might want to just start with one because it really works. We have a recommendation of 2 on the bottle. It increases dream formation. It really helps with deep sleep. And the title, Restful Sleep, is very accurate. Patients have really benefited from this. Non-melatonin, 6 other ingredients that help with sleep in multiple ways. It sort of helps that whole sleep process every step of the way. We love this one.
I love that there's no melatonin in it because I have not had a great experience with melatonin. And my kids and I have talked about this. We've all taken these melatonin gummies. We all see them over the counter, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. I took a 10 milligram. I was messed up for a while.
Really?
Over the counter.
What, messed up in that it was harder to get to sleep, or what?
I mean, I felt like I was heavily drugged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So what's the difference then, to Karyn's point? Since it's not the same as melatonin, what distinguishes, as you called it, it's called the restful sleep formula. So what does this use that's not the same as melatonin that you think is more effective?
Well, there's multiple ingredients in there, ashwagandha, rafuma leaf, that all have impacts on sleep and relaxation that just have a different mechanism than melatonin. And it's funny, Karyn, that you mentioned this. We were at my grandparents the other day, and my son saw melatonin in the refrigerator, and he thought, oh, I'm going to try one. And within about 30 minutes, he acted like he was literally drunk. He was 18 years old, had never taken melatonin before, and he's like, Mom, this is crazy. And he was like kind of even slurring his words. We were laughing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And I mean, they sell them for children. They package them. I mean, you go into CVS, and if you go to Sleep Formula, everything's got melatonin in it. But I guess some people, whatever your body chemistry is, they don't process it well. And I can tell you that I don't either.
Very interesting. Doctor, we appreciate all of this helpful information. Make sure you go to twc.health/Rav and listen to the good doctor, because she certainly knows more than we do. And we're going to follow the science here, which is what they do at the Wellness Company. Doctor, we'll see you soon. In the meantime, let's bring in our buddy Terrance Bates. He's got a couple quick headlines. Terrance, good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning, and good morning to you at home. As always, a special good morning to those of you in our Getter Chat. Congress is back at work with crafting a federal budget and trying to avoid a government shutdown, topping the list of priorities. House Republicans are looking to get 12 detailed spending bills covering every aspect of government funding onto the House floor and, of course, passed. The more conservative faction of the House is expected to push House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to cut budgets below the levels that he and President Biden agreed to during that controversial debt ceiling deal, which averted a government default. In the meantime, the Democrat-led Senate is said to be looking to broker bipartisan funding deals, setting the stage for difficult negotiations in the coming weeks. Larry Nassar, the disgraced doctor who sexually assaulted dozens of female gymnasts, including Olympians, is recovering from being stabbed while in prison. The attack reportedly happened on Sunday, and Nassar is said to be in stable condition with stab wounds to his back and chest. All of this happened during an altercation with another inmate. Nassar is serving a decades-long prison sentence for both state and federal convictions. He admitted both to sexually assaulting dozens of gymnasts while working at Michigan State University, but also to possessing child pornography. Prison officials say that staffing shortages may have contributed to Sunday's attack. Both officers working in Nassar's unit at the time were reportedly working overtime shifts, with one of them having worked a 16-hour day. That's a quick check of your headlines, guys.
Terrance, appreciate you as always. Coming up, we're going to do Stay Awake, Not Woke. Megyn Kelly going after it. Did you see that the CDC is now blessing something called chest feeding?
I did.
Psychologically, physiologically, this doesn't work. Men do not produce breast milk and all that. And Megyn Kelly calls it out. We will right after this.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you having woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. Trump 2024.
Living in crazy times in America. Corrupt. All this is politically motivated. Vote them out. Yelling MOB. Move over Biden. 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 Get them Democrats always on a witch hunt. DOJ.
Always on a witch hunt. Forgiato Blow, who will be on set with us Thursday with a brand new song about Hunter Biden. It's very interesting, though. Move over Biden. That's what you were saying earlier in the show.
Yeah, get
Well,
him
I think
out.
you should stop talking. Oh, sorry. Did I interrupt?
You-
So there's people in the chat. So some people in the chat are saying, I constantly interrupt you. And then there's several people saying, you
That
can't.
I interrupt you.
See, you did it again.
I did.
Because I was talking.
There you go.
Let's get to Stay Awake Now, Woke. This is where we talk about simply the best coffee and now the best energy drink, apparently. Although I haven't tried it yet. Beard Vet, I think, is on his way to West Palm. He's going to be here for Turning Point USA.
Yay.
We're going to have all kinds of streaming coverage. I was going through it with the Zen Master yesterday. Saturday, I'll be part of helping get us through President Trump and whatnot. Tucker Carlson's going to speak. They'll all be here in West Palm Beach. So President Trump will come home for a quick
Beautiful.
visit from
I love
New Jersey.
it. It's going to be fantastic.
I was talking.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Terrance, I want to bring you in on this because this coverage is going to be great. And Beard Vet's bringing some of the energy drink because he's going to come to the Turning Point. But what do you think? So some people in the chat are saying, I keep interrupting Karyn. And then other people are saying, she keeps interrupting me. How can that be? Like...
It's got to be one of the other.
I almost don't want to say anything for fear that I may get interrupted. So I'm just listening.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
All right. I see that. Let's get to Stay Awake Not Woke. We'll have some fun with that. Look at this posted by Riley Gaines, who's become very outspoken about men trying to take over women's sports, particularly swimming. 16-year-old girl, Karyn, banned from the YMCA and kicked off her swim team. Why? She opposed a naked male in the locker room. And to make matters worse, her older sister, the same woman, had to go through the exact same thing with Leah Thomas. But it's quote unquote not really happening, because that's what the left tells us, Karyn, that this is all made up.
This is just disgusting. There's no other way about it. It's just gross. Just gross.
So a girl actually at 16, Terrance, speaks up and says, I don't think there should be a naked man in my locker room, which should be obvious. Mm-hmm. And she's the one who gets banned from the YMCA. And this is why we have an upside down world.
And it truly is unbelievable, because one would think that most reasonable parents would stand with a young lady like this and say, you know what, I don't want my child in a locker room or a restroom with someone of the opposite sex, particularly not someone who's naked. I mean, that's just reasonable. That's not even a political stand. To me, that just is a reasonable position.
They make it politics.
Maybe it's a stance that they're making against women, since it's the Young Men's, dare I say it, Christian Association.
I saw you wrote that down.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, YMCA, Christian Association. Did they change their name? Are they not Christian anymore?
Well,
do they not have any morals or values?
Right. And here's this girl speaking up. Part of that would have been her upbringing. That her parents said, if you see something wrong, speak up. If you're in your private bathroom, a locker room, and a man shows up, you should speak up. The girl does what she was told, what she was taught, or maybe what's just common sense.
Or what she felt. She was scared. She was afraid. She felt uncomfortable, whatever it was.
It's crazy. I'll tell you something else that's crazy. I didn't even really know this was going on. So, I mean, you've got a daughter about to have a baby. Have you heard about this term chest feeding?
I have, unfortunately.
Yeah. So apparently the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, so an official government agency, is endorsing chest feeding, which is, I guess, when there's a man pretending to have birthed a baby, they pretend to provide breast milk to the baby.
Yes, that's what they do. And I think actually there are devices that they can wear on their chest to actually feed the baby.
So there's actual milk in the device. They pretend it's coming out of their chest. Here's Megyn Kelly.
This is from the actual CDC website, offering advice to men who want to masquerade as women on how to chest feed babies. There is nothing about the significant risks to a baby, not to mention torture of an infant trying to suckle at the fake breast of a man who 9 times out of 10 will be getting off sexually. This is the CDC. It's disgusting. The Daily Mail went to actual doctors who said the CDC has a responsibility to disclose the lack of research and the potential risks here, and pointing out that one of the medications used to force a man to produce milk has been linked to heart issues in babies. Heart issues in babies, not to mention the amount of hormones that baby's going to be drinking in. Most of us won't even have a glass of wine while we're breastfeeding our babies, but this is fine. We're going to let the babies get tortured and potentially have heart issues so that some man can get off.
Wow. Telling it like it is?
I love that she's telling the truth, Terrance.
It's weird. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just going to get real common. It's just weird. Use a bottle, bro. Use a bottle. Get the breast milk, put it in a bottle. Use a bottle. It's weird. Like,
sometimes it's the best
I don't
thing.
know. And I mean, she said something about like they can create something to make a man produce milk. That was one of the things I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, here we go. But I like that earlier you just said, put down Hunter's crack pipe, and he just said, get a bottle, bruh. Sometimes it's just one sentence of common sense to deal with this upside down world. You're both right. Quick break. We're going to be back. We're going to tell you a little bit more about Karyn joining a biker gang. We're going to hear from Byron Donalds and John Solomon right after
If you would
this.
have told me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that I would be in the middle of a political movement, I would have said, put down Hunter's crack pipe.
us, the big star, would be the real American voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Patriots, welcome back to this American Sunrise.
Live from West Palm Beach.
All right.
And live from our Denver, Colorado studios on this Tuesday morning. Ed and Karyn, good morning.
Good morning. I see Sean Lucas in our live chat from Jersey. You're
Jersey.
home. Jersey. And he says, did you see the video? I actually have it in tomorrow's show. Governor Murphy, the Democrat, went up on stage. Somebody was playing some live music, and the audience was like, "Get the heck out!" Boo! It was nasty.
Oh no!
I think it was in like Red Bank. So we'll have that tomorrow. We got so much other stuff coming up. Last night, Byron Donalds was here. He's from another part of the state, more the West Coast, more like Naples, Florida, but a rising star, black conservative. So he tells this story. He just came back from vacation, Terrance, and he was saying he's got 3 sons, right? 2 that are older and 1 that's 12. And near the end of the vacation, the 12-year-old said, "Dad, I just took an L."
Yes.
I just took a loss.
I took a loss.
I was like, what happened? He said, this girl asked for my phone number, and I'm so mad because I don't have a phone. I guess Byron is waiting till they reach a certain age, and then he'll get him a phone, which is a good idea. And so you could have multiple reactions to that. And his reaction, Byron Donalds, was, wait a second.
He likes girls.
He likes girls, and there's a girl that likes him, and he was excited about that. And he said, it's not an L. This is a victory right now when you're raising a 12-year-old, Terrance.
You can have a phone and a car. I got you, kid.
Yeah. I'll get you a new car. Byron Donalds, what?
And better yet, girls like him. I don't know why he's got to figure out showering, but this is good. Ladies, at 12 is iffy. Around 13, 14, you figure it out. We know. So, Pastor, I told my pastors that. They cheered with me. That's good. About the girl, not the showering part. The girl.
He's apologizing to a pastor in the front row. But the pastor said, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
I think the pastor believed the 2 genders as well, Terrance.
Yeah, and that's a reality so many parents, particularly in this day and age, and of younger kids face. You want to have those conversations, but you also don't want to push anything on your child. And so I can say for myself, I've oftentimes wondered, hey, girls, how do you identify? Like, you're a girl, right? You're a girl. Hoping that the values that you've tried to pass along and that the reality of life truly has sunken into your kids. But it's a conversation that parents, unfortunately, these days are having to have. And I'm not so sure that our generation had to have these conversations. It was understood.
Yeah, what a totally crazy conversation I think you would have to have with 100%. Your kids. Yeah.
Right, because then you might be seen as the intolerant person if all of a sudden you don't agree with what they've been indoctrinated with. That you would be a bad guy.
I don't think I'd care at that point.
Good. Well, you're right, but I'm just saying it's complicated.
It's terrible
in the current environment.
Yeah, and it's no one's business. Like if you have to have that conversation with your child, the way that you and your family deal with it, that's something that should stay in your home, and you guys deal with it as you. And I've kind of told you, there's a kid I've known since she was a kindergartner. And I saw her probably a month and a half ago now at a graduation ceremony, and I didn't recognize. I was like, "Who's that?" And my wife was like, "Oh, well, that's such and such. She identifies as a boy now." And again, I've known this kid forever,
right.
And I had to kind of rein myself in from being judgmental and say, "Well, as a family, because we know them as well, that's something that they will deal with, and how they choose to deal with it is their business."
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And that's, family first over everything. And it's not your business. And in that place, but, if it was your child, I'm sure that you would think about, like, let me sit down with my wife. Do we put this child in the therapy? What do we do next? There's a problem. Like, and you don't know how they handled that. So God bless.
Well, and it's interesting you say it that way because Byron Donalds at one point was saying, look, he's like, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. And I'm dealing with all this, not just being a congressman, but raising kids. And he said that he's told his sons before, mind your business, because that's another thing.
Yeah, he did
because
bring
when
that
you flip it around, you're talking about you were minding your business. It's sort of like, I don't agree with this, and but it's
not my
for
business.
that family. Yeah,
Exactly.
but if you flip that around, there's all these teachers and other outsiders maybe influencing that kid and making it their business for that kid to identify as a boy instead of a girl. And they should have been minding their business. You were doing the right thing. It's just absolutely incredible. But Byron Donalds also had a lot to say. He's a big supporter of President Trump. A lot of people in that room, by the way, think Byron Donalds will be a future governor of Florida. So that would be interesting.
He's, he drags you in. He tells good personal stories, too.
Absolutely.
Gives you a tidbit of who he is.
But I think the breaking news might have been that at this Club 47 meeting, Karyn joined a biker gang. Please walk us through this, Karyn. You've got that special vest.
I am so excited about this. So this is Bikers for Trump.
Born to Ride for 45.
Born to Ride for 45. I got to get it right. But these are bikers. They're all big Trump supporters. George Kalala is a good friend of the show.
Happy birthday, George.
He also is the godfather. So he's sort of become my adopted godfather. And Born to Ride 45, there you have it, Donald Trump. And they are at all the Trump events. They come out in full force for the support of this country. Great patriots, amazing group, and I could not be more honored to be inducted.
That's right. Terrance, your thoughts?
No, I think it's awesome. And again, I go back to the fact that you're like the most fashionable biker woman. I called you a biker chick. I hope, again, that wasn't derogatory, but you're the most fashionable biker woman I've ever seen. And just to add to that, I told you that my cousin, Angie, is a biker chick, is self-proclaimed biker chick. And one of the things she has done for the girls, she had them send her a denim jacket, and then she cut off the sleeves of the denim jacket and put all these patches on it so that it was like a biker jacket, like a biker
Karyn's
vest.
got patches.
I love that. Well, and
You've
that's
got
what
the
I was
denim
going to
one
say.
as well?
No, I don't have the denim one, but George went out of his way to make me this beautiful vest. I mean, this was, they ordered the vest and then they had to put the patches on and they gave me a biker name. I mean, there was so much that went into this.
On the front, there's one
I had to wear an outfit to make sure that this vest was
course.
showcased in the proper manner, because this was a labor of love. And I love George for doing this for me. I love the whole group of people, and they're just amazing. And these are people that you can trust. They have your back, and they are born to ride for 45.
They certainly are. Now, if I can pass on one piece of advice in life, find someone who looks at you the way Rose looks at me. We've had her on the show before. She came up to me. I got to get my daughter to take a picture. She's immigrant from Cuba. She came on, you remember, at a diner segment and said, I love Donald Trump. They're persecuting him, and I will die for Donald Trump. And every time we're at one of these events, she seeks me out to get a picture.
She loves you so much. And if Big Sexy was there, this woman would lose her mind.
I think she would.
She really, that might even be too much for her.
We'll get a picture of the three of us. How about that?
Okay.
All right, one more quick one, guys. Let's all just say a prayer this hour as we bring in a new hour for Hollywood. Babylon Bee has the story. Hollywood confused by new movie that depicts child sex trafficking as bad.
That's actually what's happening. Again, the headline could not be any better.
Truth stranger than fiction?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, always.
It's absolutely unbelievable. And you see these segments on CNN and elsewhere. We played one last hour, Terrance, where they're saying this is a QAnon film, and they just want to do everything but talk about the actual heart of what this film is doing.
And Hollywood has made a business of escaping reality or offering people an escape from reality. Well, it appears to me that the harsh and hardness of reality being depicted in real life is just too much for Hollywood to handle, and now they're pushing back against it, which I don't understand, because I think this is a reality. Child sex trafficking and child trafficking in general is a harsh reality, and this movie depicts that.
It's telling the truth.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable to talk about, and a lot of us want to, pretend it's not happening because it is uncomfortable to talk about, but we can't. And this movie showcasing that just shows how many people really are behind a very sinister agenda.
Absolutely. Speaking of agendas, they got a lot of agendas there in Washington. Let's check in with our great friend, the scoop master, John Solomon from Just the News, justthenews.com. John, good morning. I know Joe Biden's overseas right now. Does that cell number you have for him work if you try to reach out to him in the UK or somewhere?
I suspect they got rid of that a long time ago. Hey, Hunter had to tighten up his lifestyle, so he couldn't afford all those phones anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Let me put up on the screen here, guys, E9. I think this is Catherine Herridge at CBS who had a letter that U.S. Attorney Weiss there in Delaware that they got, that where Lindsey Graham, Senator Durbin on the Democratic side acknowledged discussions with Justice Department officials about whether he had the authority to bring charges outside of Delaware in the Hunter Biden probe. I was assured that I would be granted this authority if it proved necessary. It says in the letter, he obviously wanted to expand that scope. Where do we stand right now with Weiss and how he was held in, what these IRS whistleblowers that you've reported on? Where are we on the Hunter Biden situation?
Well, listen, I think Weiss is trying to thread a needle to make it look like everything was normal in the Hunter Biden case when these whistleblowers are saying nothing was normal, that they were interfered with from top to bottom during the investigation. And I think the big thing, and you'll see this story tomorrow on Just the News, there is clear evidence, excuse me, I got a little tickle in my throat, guys. There is clear evidence that Weiss's staff signed off on a broad indictment. I'm going to put some of this paper evidence into public tomorrow so people can see it. His office signs off on an indictment that goes all the way back to 2014, includes the Burisma information, and then he doesn't bring it. So think about what he just told the Senate. I was told I had the authority if I wanted to do it. He then signed off on doing it, and then he didn't do it. So Weiss has some very significant questions he's going to have to answer. And while that's going on, there are discussions on Capitol Hill that maybe either the Comer Committee or the House Ways and Means Committee will bring Gary Shapley and the other whistleblower, whose name we still don't know, and testify publicly so every American can see who they are. Are they partisans? Are they old-fashioned cops? I think that could happen at the end of this month. And I think that those are really important things. I'll just add one other thing we broke this morning. Senator Grassley gave us a letter. In that letter to Mr. Weiss, he says, I found out that your staff was briefed 2 weeks before the 2020 election, that the FBI had an informant saying that Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme in Ukraine. Think about that. The prosecutor who's been working this case for 3 years, who didn't bring the bigger indictment against Hunter Biden, also knew before the election that there was a very credible allegation of bribery against Joe Biden.
Unreal.
Wow, how corrupt. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Terrance, you want to jump in?
You know, this whole David Weiss thing, it seems like he is really trying to CYA because a lot of it seems almost semantic. He says, yes, I was told that I could seek special counsel status, which would have given me the authority to indict in any municipality, if you will, but I decided against it. It seems like this is semantics, and someone dropped the ball, David Weiss specifically.
Yeah, listen, the big question that David Weiss is going to have to answer, and at some point he will. Right now he can hide behind, there's an ongoing case. Hunter Biden hasn't pled out yet. But if all that gets wrapped up in the next few weeks, as we expect it to, he won't be able to hide behind, I can't talk about it anymore. And there are two big questions facing him. One is, if you got this information in October 20 that said Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme, and oh, by the way, the FBI had it since 2017. Did you do anything to investigate it, or did you give the current president of the United States a free pass, unlike the prior president who got everything investigated, whether it was real or not? The second thing is, if you signed off on a broad indictment that charged Hunter Biden all the way back to 2014, including not paying taxes on $400,000 from that Burisma Ukraine company, why didn't you do it? Who got to you? Why did you change your mind? Why are these IRS whistleblowers saying you wanted to go forward with it and told them you couldn't? He's got two very big answers he's going to have to provide Congress to give any sense of credibility to the letters he's out there. These are big moments, and I think next week or the week after, if Americans get to see these IRS whistleblowers, they're going to be able to judge for themselves. Are these guys credible? Are they partisan? Are they black helicopter people? Everything I've seen so far about the whistleblowers seems to be substantiated with documents, and tomorrow you'll see a new one of those documents in public that I think will advance the story quite a bit.
Can't wait to see that at justthenews.com.
These people are risking their lives being brave and going out there being these whistleblowers. God bless them.
I got to ask a more elementary question, which is what the heck is going on with the cocaine investigation at the White House? Because either there was potentially a senior aide at the White House covering up some big drug problem. They could be blackmailed. There's a lot of serious questions, as you know better than we do, number one.
Sure.
Or if it was Hunter Biden, I said if, we have no idea, innocent until proven guilty, but that could blow up his plea deal if, in fact, he got caught with cocaine at the White House, based on what I've been reading.
Would it really, though? Could it?
Well, it should, right? And he's supposed to walk into a Delaware courtroom later this month to codify this sweetheart plea deal. So why can't they figure out whose cocaine it was? I think a lot of Americans are pretty PO'd about it.
Yeah, listen, last night Congressman Pat Fallon said, based on his discussions with law enforcement, they now have a suspect in mind, or a person of interest, I think he used the term. Let's see if that turns out to be true. He's on the Oversight Committee, so he may be privy to information we don't know about. But at the end of the day, every law enforcement official I talked to, including people who worked in the Secret Service office in the very area where this cocaine was found, said, listen, this is not hard to solve. There'll be fingerprints. There'll be video footage. Right. There'll be timestamps and logs. There'll be witnesses. It won't be hard to figure out whose cocaine it is. Now, there are one thing I do know is that normally Hunter Biden would not go through that entrance where this cocaine was found. He would come in through a very different entrance used for by the family. Whether it was for official business or not, they would probably bring him in through that other door. So it seems unlikely, just based on their location, that Hunter Biden would be the guy to drop the cocaine there, because he doesn't go through that door. That said, whoever it is committed a crime, and there's a bigger issue here even beyond cocaine and drugs getting into the White House, which, by the way, is a shocking cultural moment for all of us. Listen, what if that was anthrax? What if it was some sort of dangerous powder like ricin? The idea that it didn't get detected right away, that it got in and put into a safety box without anyone. There are real security learnings that the Secret Service and others are going to have to figure out from this. This is a serious matter from top to bottom. It's not an effort to embarrass the Biden family. It's an effort to find who committed a crime, and also how could one of the premier security agencies in the world, because the Secret Service are one of the best in the world, how could they have allowed powder that could potentially have been dangerous to not go detected for quite some time?
John.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, very good points. John, I want to move the needle a little bit, because I know that Christopher Wray is expected to be testifying on Capitol Hill tomorrow. I know the 4th of July fireworks over the Capitol are typically pretty spectacular. I'm really expecting some fireworks tomorrow.
Yeah, you've got your bullseye over the right target for this week. That is going to be a very epic conversation. And when he last testified back in May, there were a lot of things we didn't know about. We didn't fully know about the whistleblowers. We didn't know about the FT 1023, the informant report against alleging that Joe Biden may have been involved in a bribery scheme. The other thing we didn't know about was that the FISA court a year earlier had received a report that the FBI had violated American civil liberties 278,000 times over a 2-year period by rifling through their phone records without having proper legal cause. In fact, violating the very rules that Chris Wray said he put in place to make sure these things didn't happen. I think he's going to get a rockier road, a much rockier appearance, not just from Republicans. I think some Democrats are also going to start raising these civil liberties questions. This is going to be a much more tense hearing, and Chris Wray saying, I can't talk about it, won't be satisfying to folks. And I'm going to add one other one onto the table, because I think it's a really significant national security issue. It doesn't get a lot of attention, except it does on Real America's Voice. The number of Chinese coming across the border right now is epically high, and we're talking thousands more than we've ever seen in a small window of time. And most Chinese officials people can't leave the country unless they get an exit visa. It means their country approved them to come into there. That, coupled with the fact that Joe Biden took away the best espionage fighting tool that the FBI had against China. They ended the Chinese intelligence program that rooted out spies in American academia. I think a lot of people are going to drill into that and say, sir, what's going on? And he's probably going to have to say, I'm blind on some of this stuff because the Biden administration took away some of my focus and tools.
Absolutely. We have just over a minute, but I want to get to E11, guys. The Messenger is a new publication that's got this poll number out of Florida. Trump dominating DeSantis in Florida by wide margin. Is there a state where Trump is not dominating? This is a Florida Atlantic University poll that's gotten picked up by others as well. Trump, I believe, has 50% for Trump, 30% for DeSantis in the state where he's governor. We got a minute. Where are we in this presidential race, sir?
Right. We're early, but Donald Trump has a commanding lead in every state, even South Carolina, where two favored sons and daughters are running. And you saw what happened when he went to South Carolina. He took a little town and turned it into a metropolis with all the people that visited. Yeah. Donald Trump has a commanding lead right now. Ron DeSantis has a window still to try to get relevant, but if he can't move his numbers soon, there doesn't appear to be anyone on the horizon that could really take on Donald Trump. It really is Donald Trump's race to lose. A lot of things can happen, a lot of history, more indictments, more controversy going to come up. But right now, Donald Trump is in the driver's seat.
No doubt about it. All right, don't miss it tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern. John and Amanda right there, the latest on the presidential race, of course, and all of these big investigations in Washington. Make sure you're watching John and Amanda, and make sure you're on Just the News and justthenews.com tomorrow morning. Sounds like he's got a big scoop coming with another IRS whistleblower.
See, every time you say scoop, though, I think of Joe Biden. I think about ice cream.
Ice cream. No, there's other scoops. The Scoop Master.
The scoops are better from John Solomon.
They are. They're much better. They last longer. Coming up, we're going to check in with AMAC because they've got a lot they can do for you and your family as we drain the swamp and take a live look at Wall Street. All that economic news sponsored by AMAC right after this.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you having woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
Always on a witch hunt. And you know what? There's breaking news this morning that the Trump legal team is now seeking an indefinite postponement of the documents trial. And we've got a legal expert coming up in the next block to get some live reaction to that. This is going to have a big impact on the 2024 election. Is that trial going to be looming? Is it going to play out before the election? Or is it going to be delayed till after the 2024 election and be kind of a, be on the ballot, if you will, that if Donald Trump wins the election, all that's going to go away? Or if Biden or the Democrats win it, they obviously were going to go full speed ahead against Trump. It's going to be on the ballot.
Incredible. And obvious, that would be such obvious political persecution. Would that actually happen? Of course
we shall see. Exactly. By the way, a lot of people in live chat want to know your biker name.
It's The Presser. It's actually Press Girl, but it's AKA The Presser.
The Presser. All right, there you go. Now you get your answers. Now we're going to drain the swamp. Yeah, this is sponsored by Sea of Mud, seaofmud.com. They've got these simply terrific soft T-shirts. You saw Trader Joe's, Trader with a T. You see Joe's Laundry Service. They're sending billions to Ukraine. I love that the laundromat is in the Ukraine flag culture. You drive around sometimes here in South Florida, and these crazy liberals have Ukrainian flags on their lawn. Like, what are we thinking? So
I try not to drive past their houses.
Let's just keep sending more money to Ukraine, our taxpayer money. It's unbelievable. The folks who want to drain the swamp, the great patriots at Sea of Mud, seaofmud.com. Let's support some of our partners. In the meantime, let's bring in another partner, AMAC. They sponsor the economic news in this block every single day. You've seen him before. His name is Andy Mangione. He is the AMAC Action Senior Vice President. That would be the arm of AMAC that actually goes out there and pushes for legislative action. Andy, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
My pleasure to be here. Good morning.
You guys have been working hard on something called the Patient Act, and a lot of our viewers might have to go to the hospital, hopefully for just a quick visit, and all of a sudden Tylenol costs $600 for a couple of pills. And there's not a whole lot of transparency in a lot of that billing. What's AMAC working on? If people join your organization, what are they pushing for with something like the Patient Act to actually help people?
Well, one of the biggest concerns our members have is the cost of health care, and that encompasses everything from a procedure, medical billing, the price of drugs, et cetera. So we've been engaged in hospital and medical price transparency for several years. Well, thankfully, Congress, on a bipartisan basis, introduced the Patient Act, and it sailed out of committee on a bipartisan vote. And you know how Congress works. We have to work within the system, and that entails getting co-sponsors for this bill. So the bill itself would provide hospital price transparency. So say you needed a procedure done, a non-threatening, non-life-threatening procedure, something you could schedule in advance like a hip or knee replacement. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to shop that like you would for a car or another major purchase in your life? You're looking at having hospitals compete for your business. The prices would drop. Well, this bill, the Patient Act, has that as a provision in the legislation, and we activated our members and engaged them to reach out to their member of Congress to ask them to co-sponsor this bill. We started our campaign June 12th, and we recently ended it. Our members sent over 16,000 messages to their member of Congress, encouraging them to please support this bill, and it paid off. We were looking for bipartisan support. It's a Republican bill, if you will, but it does. This transcends both sides of the aisle. We were able to get 11 more Democrats to sign on to this bill via our campaign, so it was a success.
And we're already in an environment where we have a partially socialist medicine, whether you like it or not. I'm wondering, too, this legislation you're writing, how much is Medicare coding a factor here? Because doesn't Medicare coding sort of drive the market for everybody else and allow a lot of this fleecing of these tremendous amounts of money to happen? Is that addressed in this legislation at all?
Well, you bring up a good point. It's in the past, and it's been my experience that private insurance will follow Medicare's lead with regard to pricing for specific procedures and other processes that patients go through in a private hospital. The bill itself will shine light, will shine transparency on all kinds of medical expenses, including procedures. So Medicare coding is something that it's not specifically addressed in the bill, but what the bill does is provide. It empowers patients, and that's what we're so excited about. It empowers patients to take more control of their health care by learning these costs beforehand and by making an informed decision. And that's something that our members find extremely valuable.
Well,
absolutely.
You're dropping a lot of knowledge this morning to make sure people take back some of their medical freedom and stand up for their patients' rights. We'll take a look at it, the Patient Act. People can go to amac.us/RAV, as you see, become a member of this outstanding organization, maybe a more conservative version of those retired persons groups we've heard about. This is about the mature citizens. Andy, we appreciate you as always. We'll have you back soon. And we're going to turn to the economic news, which are, as you just saw, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
That's right. And Terrance, I covered the White House a long time. I covered Congress before that. Really tried to stay on top of these big policy issues. But I got to say, I'm very impressed that Karyn jumped in, dropping all kinds of knowledge about Medicare coding. I mean, she doesn't just do the rabbit hole segment. She's ready to play on these big issues.
I got some random facts in my head.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, tell us about Medicare coding, because I really want more on that.
Well, it drives the market.
It does.
We live in a country that has socialized medicine.
And I was just going to say, anyone that's dealt with Medicare knows that's a rabbit hole in and of itself.
You're right. Absolutely. All right. I'm looking at the bell just rang as we were joking a little bit. The Dow's up today. It's green, up 137 points. S&P up about 8 points. NASDAQ up about 19, 20 points. JP Morgan and others are announcing earnings this week. Maybe there's a little optimism on Wall Street about where the economy is heading. We shall see, Terrance.
And in general, Ed, global stock markets have actually been faring pretty well so far this morning in advance of tomorrow's update on U.S. consumer prices. Wednesday's report is expected to show whether the Federal Reserve's policy of raising interest rates over the last year or so is actually working in terms of cooling the economy. Last month, the Fed decided to skip an interest rate hike, but at least 2 more increases are expected throughout the rest of this year. However, investors are hoping that tomorrow's report will actually be so good that no more increases will be needed. Forecasters are expecting the inflation for June to fall to about 3.1%, which would actually be down from 4% that was recorded in May. And while the numbers are still higher than the Fed's 2% target, the stats are also sharply off of last year's peak, which was above 9%. If you think that you don't need emergency food, you may want to think again. The government recently revealed concerns about potential future food shortages. According to the USDA, 1/3 of America's annually planted crops will not be harvested this season because severe droughts and fertilizer shortages wipe them out. And that means that food could soon be scarce and definitely expensive. So, is your family prepared for that? If not, now is the time to stock up on emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Just go to preparewithrav.com and you'll save big on each 4-week emergency food kit you need for your family. You'll get breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks that will keep everyone going strong. And best of all, the food is delicious and your entire family will love it. So act now and save big on each 4-week food kit that you need. Go to preparewithrav.com to order and you'll get free shipping. So don't hesitate, because you'll never forgive yourself if you let your family suffer. Again, just go to preparewithrav.com to place your order. Guys?
Yeah, Terrance, you make a great point, because I think right now a lot of families concerned not just about Bidenflation, and so they want to prepare with Rav.com. They're also deeply concerned about Medicare coding in this country.
They are if they know about it. Now they do, because I told everyone.
Especially like we're joking about it, but there is, again, some truth in that joke. Because of inflation and because everything is costing so much, there are a number of elderly family members of ours who are having to decide whether they buy food, buy groceries, or get that medicine that they need. And Medicare, it all is hand in hand. It does go hand in hand.
Yeah, and even if you don't have Medicare and you have private insurance, the private insurance company is looking to Medicare for what they're going to charge, and Medicare is abusing the system because it's part of the federal government. So, big government at work.
And then the costs, because Medicare, it's driving it up.
They drive it all
up. Washington just pays more money. It says, okay, we'll just cover that, because they're using our taxpayer money to just keep driving all these costs up. As you say, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad you brought it to the attention of so many Americans.
Thanks, I appreciate
that.
Can you explain Medicare Part A, though, to me, please, Karyn? No,
right, because there's Part B, Part C.
Well, Part B is a supplement. Okay, so Medicare, I think I actually can. I actually think I can explain this to you. And if I don't explain it correctly, get or chat, please correct me. But Medicare Part A is the part that you get automatically, and Part B is your supplement. That's your Medicare Part B.
Right, and then Part C is a prescription drug benefit.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, look at you.
So we're trying to bring a lot of knowledge. Carrie Lake and the Truth Bombers, 81 million votes. They brought us a lot of knowledge about election fraud. We're going to get even more from our man in Washington, Joe Weber, with a 60-second sunrise. And then we have breaking news on the documents case with President Trump. And so we're lucky to have Jesse Banal, a Trump lawyer, leads a law group and knows all about these big investigations. He joins us live next.
The crime was committed in broad daylight.
46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
The truth ain't one. 46 problems. You know, Biden is 46.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is 45. And as we heard at Club 47 last night, you got Byron Donalds and a lot of patriots who want him to be 47.
Absolutely, 47. I wonder what they're going to do Born for Ride for 45. I wonder if they're going to have to change it to Born to Ride for 47. You know, they might have to change my patch out. But, you know, I wouldn't have this beautiful vest and all these patches if it wasn't for Julie, who couldn't be there last night.
Oh, Julie, okay.
Yeah, Goldie Freedom. And she was taking care of her dad. He's a Korean war vet. He's 92. So
oh, that's sweet.
I want to send her a shout out and say thank you. She put all of those patches on my vest.
Oh, thank you, Julie. And best to your dad. And thank you for your service to this great nation. That leads us to a 60-second sunrise. This is where we check in with our man in Washington, Joe Weber. We already heard from the big chief, the scoop master, John Solomon himself. He brought the tablets down. He said there's another IRS whistleblower that we might hear about at Just the News tomorrow. But we're happy to have Joe Weber as well because he's a key member of the team, and there he is smiling. Joe, good morning and welcome back. I see you have a scoop this morning that D.C., as well as a whole bunch of other states, maybe a dozen states, they actually accept ballots after Election Day. I don't understand how that works. Maybe it doesn't work. It shouldn't work. But now North Dakota, which does this, is facing a lawsuit. Can you actually accept ballots after Election Day?
Yeah, good morning. So it's as many as 18 states, and North Dakota is getting hit with a lawsuit for accepting mail-in ballots 13 days after Election Day. And as I said, it's one of 18 states. And the suit was filed last week against the North Dakota state election director, alleging that the state law to accept ballots up to 13 days is against federal law. It's being filed. This is what's interesting about the case. It's being filed on behalf of the county auditor by the Public Interest Legal Foundation. And this is what they said to us yesterday. The plaintiff is seeking clarity about his obligation in this capacity as a county auditor because he has to choose between violating the state or the federal law while administering elections. So the guy's just asking, you know, what am I to do here? You got me in between, and I have a job that's, you know, beholden to taxpayers. One other thing that's kind of interesting about this is some other states, there's California, Illinois, and Kansas, they're among the 18 others. So there's a mix of red and blue. And also point out to you that it's worth noting that Judicial Watch is suing Illinois State Board of Elections for similar situation here.
Very interesting. I can't imagine anyone would really be in favor of taking ballots after. There's got to be a deadline at some point. And we've seen this with these mail-in ballots, all this mischief in particular.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you staying on the case, Joe. And we'll see you tomorrow, I hope. In the meantime, go to justthenews.com, and follow all of their great scoops, including that. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, 2024 is getting saucy. This is sponsored by Red State Barbecue, a red-blooded patriotic company, Red State, there in Lexington, Kentucky. And David Carroll does such a great job. The sauces are amazing. I love the taproom fire. I like a little bit of heat on my protein. The rubs they have, whether it's the bird rub, the pork rub. And you know what? You don't have to take it from us. We have so many viewers who have tried this and have supported this great patron. They love it. They love the sauce.
They love the sauce. The South Carolina is my personal
South Carolina
favorite.
mustard, right?
Yes. And, you know, we have a cat coming up later that likes Pepsi. I wonder if the cat likes barbecue sauce. Can we try that?
I don't know if we should try that because Pepsi and barbecue sauce and a cat, we could have a big mess here. But I don't want you to have a mess. So make sure that your summer picnic or barbecue is fantastic. Go to Red State Barbecue, use that promo code RAV10. And then let's turn to some actual serious news, like breaking news this morning on the Trump documents case. We'll bring in our friend Jesse Banal. He's actually a Trump attorney. He's not working on the documents case, but he's helping the president in other matters. Runs the Banal Law Group, which I want to mention, where he's founder and managing partner. Jesse, first of all, good morning. Welcome to Real America's Voice.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today.
I want to jump right in. I teed this up a moment ago. New York Times has a story, as do others. I guess there was a deadline late last night. You were watching it to file some paperwork, and the Trump legal team is now seeking an indefinite postponement in the documents case brought by the special counsel, Jack Smith. They basically say the filing submitted 30 minutes before the deadline presents a significant early test for Judge Cannon, who, as you know, is overseeing the case, is a Trump nominee appointee. And folks are wondering, is this trial going to play out in the middle of the presidential campaign? Is it going to be pushed to the latter stages and really be on the ballot, or might it even be kicked after the 2024 election? What's the significance of this filing, sir?
Well, it's, I think, a very well done filing by his legal team. He's got some great lawyers on this case that are working for him. And one of the most important things that it does is, first of all, says we actually don't think there's ever going to be a need to try this case because this case should be resolved on a motion to dismiss. And they bring up and gave us a little bit of a preview of some of their motions that are going to be coming down the road. Most importantly, what sounds like a motion to dismiss to explain that there was no, even if everything that they said in the indictment was right, which it wasn't, but even if it was, there's no crime that's committed here, and the case should just be dismissed on its face. And then they also pointed out that there's going to be some jurisdictional issues with what the way the special counsel's office has operated. It's probably some ethical issues. We've heard a little bit about that. And so it previewed all that, and then at the end of the day, they said it's premature to set a trial date right now. These cases always, in the best of circumstances, take time. And they actually cited several other cases that didn't involve someone named Donald Trump, that did not go to trial in 6 months like the special counsel wants to do, where it's just, it's very clear what the special counsel's office wants is a railroad job right now. And so they cited other cases where it takes 1.5 years, 2 years, even more sometimes, to get these cases properly to trial. Just because there's a lot of classified information. They pointed out that the special counsel's office, I think, had produced to them over 500,000 pages of discovery so far. It takes time to go through all that. And so Judge Cannon, I think, is a fair judge, is going to look at that, and I hope she does the right thing here and pushes that out.
Yeah, I'm wondering, too, you're talking about like this unreasonable timing on this, that they're not giving enough time for the attorneys to prep. If that's enough to push it forward, that's great. But if it's not, the other things they're looking at is any that involve sanctions or anything that sort of could, push it forward. Or are there any other ways that they can delay it once they're already in the process of moving forward if they don't think it's unreasonable?
Oh, I mean, there always is. And I suspect in a case like this, what you're going to see is you're going to see status conferences. And status conferences are a way that judges kind of take the temperature of the cases moving forward, figuring out what's going on with the case, how's it moving forward, what kind of time frame are we looking at as far as when things need to get done and when we need to actually put a trial on the calendar. And so there's always an opportunity, and it's not unusual for judges to put trial dates on calendars, and then, well, gosh, there's this motion to dismiss that tests an issue that has never before been litigated, and the judge really needs to get it right, and she's going to need some more time with it. So, we're going to continue it out and have to continue it out. I think what the president's team has done here is prudent, is saying, rather than have these soft days on the calendar that really just mess with everybody's schedule, let's just see how the motions practice plays out here. Let's see how the discovery plays out. And then if it's necessary to schedule a trial date, we can do that later.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me push you a little bit on the Trump legal team, though, because respectfully, there are some conservatives like Mark Levin, who you probably know, have said they want to see the Trump legal team get even more aggressive and maybe have even stronger motions and filings. I want to put up on the screen Julie Kelly, who covers January 6 issues and other things, posted this. Said this is why, she was talking about more leaks out of Jack Smith's investigation. This is why Judge Cannon wanted a special master to handle alleged classified documents. She confronted Jay Bratt about DOJ leaks. He's obviously a top justice official there under Merrick Garland. Back in September, leaks still coming at a steady stream with no consequence. Now, I'm not blaming the Trump legal team. This is Jack Smith and the Justice Department leaking all kinds of illegal information to make Trump look worse and worse. But my question to you as a Trump attorney, is there something that can be done about it? Because again, Mark Levin and others who are smarter than me on these legal matters are saying, you guys got to take the gloves off and really push back harder against Jack Smith. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think they are pushing back. I think that you're going to see more motions coming down the pike. They need to do this right. They need to do this at the proper time and pace so that they can win. And sometimes that doesn't mean as soon as something comes up, you immediately run to court and start filing every motion under the sun. If you're going to have a good, successful white-collar practice, that means moving everything at the right time and at the right pace. And I think his team is doing that right now. That being said, the actions of the special counsel's office continue to just astound me. I mean, just the very fact that this case was brought shows the unequal nature of our legal system right now, and especially when it comes to investigators and prosecutors. This case should have never been brought. If these leaks are coming from the special counsel's office, which it certainly appears that a number are, Jack Smith needs to get his house in order. But the problem is that it's the age-old question of who will guard the guardians, right? It's a question of when these are the people in charge of enforcing the law, too many of these people think that it is them who is above the law. And there is never any consequences for them when they go out and violate the law. We look at people like Peter Strzok. We look at people like Lisa Page, Andrew Weissman. We never see any consequences for these people that are part of the deep state. This permanent DC bureaucracy is really what I mean by that. And they think that because they are the law enforcement infrastructure, the prosecution infrastructure, that there's no one to hold them account. And that needs to change. That's something that in his next term, 47, as we'll be referring to again, I am very, very confident that he is going to put in place a system to hold these people accountable. We absolutely need to do that. There are constitutional ways to do that, and I'm looking forward to that day.
I love how you wove all that in.
Yeah, I like it. I like the sunny side up on the end, too. As we get towards the end of the show, we do this thing called sunny side up. That was the sunny side up of that topic.
And I have an answer, by the way, for both of you. George Colello has Born to Ride for 45, said they will not change it to 47.
Oh.
He will always be 45 because he never conceded and the election was stolen. President Trump should and would still be president, George is saying. Okay. So it's Born to Ride for 45, whether he becomes 47 or not. Quick last thought?
I mean, I love that. He'll always be 55. I think to a lot of us, and when we add on the 45/47, it just means that he's done so much this country that his impact will have been far longer than the average president, because Donald Trump is still out there fighting for us. He may not be in the White House right now, but he's fighting for every single American right now, and he's going to continue to do that forever. And all Americans owe him a ton.
Absolutely.
There you go. I love that.
Jesse Benall, first time you were on American Sunrise. Love to have you back. A lot of great information. We really appreciate your time, sir.
I'd love to come back. Thanks, guys.
All right, so quick break. So I don't really know where we're going. The quarterback's going to have to call an audible, maybe. We're going to either do Time to Spill Some Tea with some regular political news, or we're going to do Time to Spill Some Tea with some Pepsi and a cat.
I think that's the way to go.
From upstairs.
I think so.
Because Nancy wants to talk and come on the air.
She does.
So we might call an audible. You better stick around. We're back right after this.
Always on a witch hunt. The FBI is always on a witch hunt.
Ever since the pandemic, we've been stuck in the bubble. We finna lose control, cause these losers older than Jerusalem stones. Stupid and y'all rooting for Joe.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome back.
The rumors and goons, the news reporters are
46 problems. The truth ain't one. How about that? Absolutely love it. A live look there, or at least a beautiful look at downtown West Palm Beach. So Gunner is the name of the cat.
The name of the cat, and Josh from Denver now has a picture of the cat that I texted him because we are trying to wrangle the cat.
Gunner got a little excited about being on TV.
He did. He had a little stage fright.
So what's the bowl? It says meow and it's got Pepsi.
It does have Pepsi in it.
So this is a cat that likes Pepsi. It's pretty remarkable.
Yes.
I don't know if it's healthy or not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Very limited.
So are we picking up Nancy on the microphone?
We are.
She didn't want to be on
Nancy,
camera.
give her the
so
microphone.
Nancy, before we, why don't we put up our time to spill some tea? Let's do that. We'll spill some tea with Nancy. Yeah, this is sponsored by the Artillery Tea Company. Make sure you go to Artillery Tea Co. Support these great patriots. This is the chamomile tea. We had Mike, their outstanding CEO, yesterday. And this morning, mother of all bombs is the way to go. The caffeinated version is the one that really gets you going. This is the brand new decaf version. So many patriots, they make the hot tea, or in the summer now, they ice it.
They do. Iced tea's really refreshing. I'm just watching behind the scenes here, and I'm laughing at myself because they're trying to wrangle the cat behind the scenes.
So normally we spill some tea here. So Nancy, if you'll come up to the mic, and we're trying to get Gunner and take a look. So Nancy, we spill tea here in this segment, a little political gossip and whatnot, and we were trying to describe to the audience how you like to maybe have an occasional cigarette outside the office, and you kind of stand out in downtown West Palm and have a unique view on the world. What does Nancy think about what's happening in America? And let's make sure we don't use any profanity.
Well, basically, it's kind of gone to hell in a handbag under the president we have now has pretty much messed things up.
Yeah, how do we fix it? What do you think needs to happen in this country?
Well, I would think a change in leadership would be quite helpful.
Your thoughts on Donald Trump?
Oh, I love Donald Trump.
Why? What is it about him?
Well, let's see. He's from New York. That's a big one. The other is the country needs a business person.
Yeah.
That's going to
There's Gunner, by the way. Gunner is on there, on the screen. Beautiful cat. So we're going to try to get him to come live here and eat the Pepsi. But drink the Pepsi. Donald Trump as a businessman brings
I would think really any businessman that's had successful companies, at least they know how to balance a checkbook.
There you go.
You can't just keep spending. I know I can't. So why should the country be able to?
Mm-hmm.
I love your perspective.
Yeah, I do
I tell you what, I think we're going to take a pause there. We're looking forward to meeting Gunner maybe tomorrow. I think maybe now that he's met us.
In the future, when he's comfortable, he can come
and maybe
on.
he'll come back tomorrow. Nancy, we appreciate your perspective. I'd like to make this a semi-regular thing because in all seriousness, we tease you. We love seeing you every day.
When I come in here in the morning and I see you standing outside, not only do we always say hello and it gives me a warm feeling, like anytime I need advice, you're out there and like,
she's got a cigarette and
day, she's
got a unique
there.
view on the world. Last thought.
Well, that's pretty much all my thoughts is we need to fix things.
All right, fix things with Donald Trump. How about that? Nancy, brand new Real American Voice. In the meantime, let's bring in Terrance so we can all do a sunny side up. We'll get your reaction. Terrance, what do you think about Nancy? You got to hear her voice. She's a little camera shy, but she's got a unique view on the world.
Absolutely, and a New York bias. I love it. The New Yorker and the New Jersey people, the moment she said, he's from New York, that's all good. Like I saw both of you guys' faces light up. I'm like, yeah, he's from New York.
We got New York and New Jersey, and I love her voice.
Biased. Yeah, she's great. She really is. She's she's a real American voice. She's a real person.
She is. So for Sunny Side Up, our friend Rich Kaysen, who's been on the show before, he's a radio talk show host out there in the Midwest in Missouri, I think. He said there's at least one kid out there who's being raised right. Look at this. A flag maybe a little out of date. It says Trump 2020. But this kid is out on the bike in Missouri supporting MAGA, whether it's 2020 or 2024. I thought that was a little way to brighten your day. Patriots, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Maybe with Gunner.
Always on a witch hunt.